Sunday night service, and I'm Dani.
I'm Dr. Motley.
And we are so excited to be here tonight because we are talking Epstein-Barr. Oh my goodness, with the one and only Dr. Kasia Kines, who has written the Bible for Epstein-Barr right there. Just came out a couple weeks ago, and it is on Facebook. I mean, not Facebook. Amazon. It's on Amazon. Wow. And we are thrilled to death to have her live from San Diego. And as you guys get logged on, hit your heart buttons, please hit your like buttons, post your questions below because we're using Be Live tonight. So it's always a little bit different for me to know. So I want to know you guys are on there and you can hear us, but it's Sunday night service. So Kasia, we're going to toast. We're going to
toast to our house.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So as people are getting logged on, I'm going to share with you guys. Hey guys, how are you? Hey Teresa, how are you?
Hello.
I met Dr. Kines in San Diego 3 weeks ago at the J.J. Burton Mindshare Summit, and I was immediately drawn to her. And I already knew this book was coming out, but I didn't know. I mean, I sat right down beside her, and it was fabulous. So I got the book now. So here's full disclosure. Look at this book. If you, this is a textbook. This is something you sit on to get you taller. This is a book. I got the book on Friday afternoon. Dani Williamson has not read this entire book. Now I've gone through all of the table of contents and all. So we're going to let her talk, but I'm telling you, order this book. I have never seen a more comprehensive breakdown of Epstein-Barr virus in my life. You've got to get this book.
I'll do it right now.
So,
oh my gosh.
A little bit about her. All right. So she's a doctor of clinical nutrition, right? She's the CEO of Holistic Nutrition and Epstein-Barr or EBV Educational Institute. Since 2005, she's helped nearly 2,000 people one-on-one in her virtual practice. So you just see people virtually now. Is that correct?
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, it's unbelievable. So I met her 3 weeks ago. I immediately fell in love with her. You can tell she's not a Southern girl like me. She's not from Kentucky. Two of us were probably hard to understand. Then we got Motley over here who sounds like, he could be from anywhere. Yeah. But, we are going to get started. You guys, I'm so glad to see you guys on. There's already 4 comments on here. So as you log on, people, hit your like buttons. All right. We've got a lot of questions. And Kasia, I don't know if you can see on your side.
No, I can't. I'm seeing, hold on a second.
Yeah, you may want to click. Yeah, you can scroll down.
Yes, I can see.
Keep posting your questions and hit your like buttons and your heart buttons. And we are going to get started on this because we have a full jam-packed hour here. And I'm really going to just let her take the wheel because, as you all know, Epstein-Barr is absolutely, I don't know, how many millions of people do you think are affected by Epstein-Barr virus? I don't know because I haven't read that yet.
I think I would say people that are struggling with various types of cancer and autoimmune disorders, those cases that are really not responding to traditional therapies. Yes. I would say probably 60, 70, 80% of those we really should screen. It's huge. It's really huge. And if it's cancer, some types of cancer are really, really aggressive and fast and there's no time and rare, you have to really pursue it and exclude it because it's dangerous. Yeah, it can be really dangerous.
Well, tell us a little bit, Dr. Kines, how did you get interested in Epstein-Barr? I mean, you're a doctor of clinical nutrition. What was going on with you that you realized this was something you needed to go down this rabbit hole, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is a rabbit hole. Boy, it certainly is a rabbit hole. It is a rabbit hole. I'm already seeing some comments. So for you guys who are struggling with a flare-up of EBV, there can be millions of symptoms. So I don't want you to get hung up on a dot. I have this pain here, that pain here. If it's EBV related, it can be anywhere. So I want you to take a deep breath and say, okay, there's a big umbrella above it. I can get better. Whether it's my pinky or my toe or my liver, it can travel, can manifest in different ways. So just don't get don't get stuck up on that. I can see those comments. So sorry about that. I just wanted to. First
right.
of all,
yeah, don't worry about that. So tell us, how did you get interested? I think.
First of all, thank you for having me here.
Get him in. There we go.
First of all, thank you so much for having me here.
Right, so tell us,
I love you back. Hold on a second. And third of all, if I had hot flashes, I would be all red and hot and sweaty because of this amazing introduction you made. So thank you so much. It's very gracious of you. So I got into this because I'm a clinician and I've been working with all these complicated cases over the years, but sometimes you hit the wall. You have the cases when you don't, there's something you don't know and you should. And there was nothing to be known, basically. But I remember some cases, and one of those cases told me to read a particular book. Another person told me to read the same book. And then so I was flying to a conference, like I don't have time to read books. But I'll take that book on the plane, because if a couple of people told me, I'll just sit there and see what happens. And when I started to read it, I couldn't stop because it was so relevant. And I thought, if half of it is true, I have to look into it and see what's going on, because it was clinically very relevant. Okay. And that is the book called Medical Medium. Whether you like it or not, it just struck a chord when I had to pursue it. And so I decided I was, when I started to do my doctoral program, I decided, I will just go deeper and see if I can verify in research in medical literature any of the claims that were really serious in his book. Because I've been supporting a community with DD, and I see that a lot of people are being helped, a lot of people feel better reading, doing the foods that he recommends and juices and all that. Right. And sometimes it takes them a long time though, and it's more complicated. Right. So that's kind of how I started. And also on a more personal and spiritual level, I lost one of my best friends in Poland to complications of MS just a few years ago. And all those years of my immigration were the years when she was deteriorating and fighting. Literally half a year when I was scheduled to move to the States permanently, she told me she was in ER diagnosed with MS just out of the blue. So it was a very ironic trajectory when I was building my life from scratch as an immigrant, which wasn't always easy. Okay. And her fighting and just sliding and not really winning, and me not really knowing, because when I changed my career, I became a nutritionist. I was helping other people, but I did not know anything about this. I couldn't really help her a little bit, but it just didn't stick. Okay. And so her son was afraid to tell me that we lost her for, I think, 1.5 years. He really was afraid to tell me, because I remember him when he was, in diapers. Right. And so it was very ironic. For many years, I asked myself, what is it that I don't know? I need to know this. I need to know this. And so I do. I don't know what killed her. I suspect, wouldn't be surprised, but it makes me very sad. Obviously, I cried over it. I no longer cry. I can talk about it now, but but I think the fact, knowing what her son went through growing up, knowing how he has to live now, being alone, it doesn't have to happen if this is really driven by EBV. Okay. And
how do they test? What do they do? So there's people asking questions, which we won't answer questions until this is all over with. But, so how do they test for Epstein-Barr? What do you recommend?
Okay. So that's another frustration on my part, because working with a lot of people, I hear all the time that doctors don't want to test. Exactly. If they test, they may test 3 markers or 2 markers. Yeah. They miss the most important marker. At least in the States, we can do all 4 of them. And so I want you guys to know that if you don't have a cooperative doctor, you do not have to go from doctor to doctor and waste another year of your life to find somebody who will test you, because then you don't know if they will test all 4 that you need. So I spilled everything on the ebvhelp.com. You have a help.
Yes.
Yes, ebvhelp.com. You have a very, very detailed page on labs and lab interpretation. You have the markers. I'm going to spell out those markers to you now, but there are direct-to-consumer labs, literally plenty of them. And I listed on the website, I have 2 links. I'm not associated with them. It's just 2 that I know of. One is Request a Test, and one is Life Extension. And typically you just have to pay about $150. Life Extension, I've seen their sales for $72. And they have 4 markers. And you just, click there, call them, get to a local lab, get the results independently and get them instantly, a few days you'll get them. And then you can go to that website and look back at how to interpret your own lab results. I have it there as well, and it's in the book. There's a whole chapter on it. So here's the 4 markers. All right, EBV, VCAIGM,
yes,
and VCAIGG.
Yes.
And
so
then
a new infection and an old infection. And the watchers, many of them know this. So, because we talked about it earlier. So VCA, IgG, or IgM and IgG. And then what?
Then EBNA, IgG.
Yes.
Very few people will test EBNA, IgM. That's very unusual. So I rarely even mention it. Dr. Vojdani and his immunoscience labs, he tests that 5th one. But I'm just saying.
Do you recommend checking the EBNA, IgM? Because I don't. Well,
actually, I did have one case when we ran a lab with Dr. Vojdani, and because that person was very compromised in terms of her immune system, we did it twice, and she flared up only with that one. And that was a current infection. So it's rare, but it is possible. And I don't know if the labs will actually offer that, because that's rare.
Okay. What's the other one?
Early antigen. So EA-D. IgG. -D. It's apparently it's a little bit better than EA by itself, but I'm not quite sure if it makes any difference. So just EA-IgG is what you want.
Okay, so I tell you what, I don't check that one. I check the VCA-IgM, VCA-IgG, EBNA, IgG. That's what I check. That's what Quest has. Now, I've got to look and see if they have an EAD IgG.
Or EA-IgG. This is the most important one. And actually what will help everybody, because I know you're like glazing over, everybody's glazing over all these names. But if you go to my website, again, to the lab page, and it's also in the book, I can actually pull it out so you can see. You want to look at the graph that will really help you see what we're talking about. This is tiny, but you see the graph here?
Yes.
On the website is color. Unfortunately, we couldn't get color here in the book. And it's bigger. And so you can see that early antigen is early, if you have first infection. But when you have recurring infection, it will flare up as well, and flare up enough to show. So for many people, that early antigen will flare up when you have reactivations. And so without that, you really don't know.
Okay.
Because if you look at VCA-IgM, it also comes up early and then reactivates. But the reactivation is so low that for most people, I see that they don't even flare up. So we technically say VCA-IgM is typically for initial activation, but don't count on it to be positive when people have chronic conditions. So my chronic people typically have that negative. That's kind of expected.
VCA-IgM, right?
Yes.
You say
yes. So correct. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's correct. So, okay, that's great. I'm going to order the EAD. I'm going to check tomorrow with Quest and see if they have that, because on their panel, that's not on the panel, the normal. So is that pretty?
Can you see how big of a problem this is with my misdiagnosis?
Yes. Yeah.
Exactly.
So they can order these four tests.
Yeah, those 2 links that I have, when you see the panel, they have exactly those 4. So you don't have to think about it. Yeah, and you can copy it from the website. If you forget, go back to that website, copy it, and then take it to your doctor if you want, if you have a trusted doctor. So you just get it done.
What is your website, though, for the viewers? What's your website again?
EBV Health.
Okay.
Yeah, and I just shared it. I just posted it up there, people. So it's in the comments, ebvhelp.com. And then we'll put it in the top here. She's got an amazing website, and the website also has a questionnaire on it to go through and tell you. Yeah, it's really good.
I'm setting a link up on my website to get to yours.
It's fabulous.
This is ridiculous.
It's fabulous. Okay, so once they get tested and they're positive, right? What do you do? What are your protocols? What do we do?
Yeah, so couple of things. So it's like there's no panacea, but there is. So there's no magic pill, but there is. So this is very important when you want to see if what it is really EBV. So the short-term solution is to just test the ground and see if you do like one of my five of my favorites, just right off the bat, you start on them. And depends if people are very sensitive to supplements, do a little bit and increase it. But if people are okay supplementing, you can start at the highest acute dose. And then if it's too much, it upsets your stomach, you can drop down a little bit. So it depends individually. Some people over metabolize, so they know they have to be very careful. But if these five don't produce any shifts, and it's hard to tell which shift, if it's going to be less of your headaches, brain fog shift, less of muscle pain, tingling, numbing, buzzing in the ear, whatever it is, everybody has different presentation.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Just pay attention. This is your litmus test. This is when you're kind of paying attention if there's any improvement, because that's kind of predictable if that's EBV. If you have positive labs and in 1-2 weeks you feel absolutely no difference, then we are either talking about mold toxicity, we're talking about electromagnetic exposure, we're talking about heavy metals, we're talking about co-infection, something that is blocking or clouding this whole picture, and there's so much going on that it may take longer if the labs are positive.
Correct.
That's the complications. Typically, the beauty of it is that the virus is pretty predictable if that's driving things.
I think that when you talk about mold toxins, Doctor, like sometimes whenever in the office when we find that Epstein-Barr signals are clear, a lot of times when they still feel bad and have tons of brain fog and energy loss, I will find signals from mycotoxins like mold toxins all through them.
Yes.
And I'm listening to Dr. Klinghardt. He's a guy who's really big into parasitic activity. And he was talking about mold, and he said the next thing was like, I was also finding with Epstein-Barr, sometimes I'd find like a retrovirus. He says that they work together and that in like one will open the door to the cell, allow the other one to come in. And when you find a mold toxicity, do you have a particular supplement you like the best, or like a particular, or just like whatever works for the patient? Basically?
No, we have to, because in those cases, these are cases when people are really compromised, and these are the cases when it's Hashimoto, SIBO, celiac, EBV, everything, and then mold. And then, in some cases, they have to remediate the house and sell the house and get rid of belongings. It's traumatic.
And Leviticus says burn the house down. So
literally burn the house down. Yes. And
what the Bible says. Yes. So
And go ahead.
Oh, your top five.
Yeah. So and another, I would say one more layer to this would be heavy exposure to pesticides, herbicides, chemicals, dioxins, glyphosate. I think they can also cloud. Theoretically, I haven't seen that yet, but based on research, I wouldn't be surprised. So my five heavy hitters, and this is kind of the first third of the book talks about them and the literature behind it, and then I've worked with them. So number one, which actually stalls the replication of the virus right away, is selenium.
Write these down, people, because this is amazing. But you're going to read the book and you're going to go to page 300. When you get to 330, you're going to see this. All right, keep talking.
So selenium, for a very petite person, I would say 600 micrograms a day. For a regular sized person, 800 micrograms, not milligrams, please, micrograms.
Yes.
Now, a word of caution, if you go above 800 a day, it may become toxic and not good. So you want to look at all the supplements you're taking, because it's maybe hiding in multi-mineral or multi-vitamin, or maybe some thyroid support or detox support. So you want to pull out all the doses from those supplements, add everything up, and 800 would be a perfect dose. It is okay long-term according to studies. If you are a little bit intimidated, do 600.
600 micrograms of selenium. So we're talking, starting off, now we're talking about the top 5 heavy hitters, people, that initially for the first 2 weeks, right? Am I reading? Did I read this right? For the first 2 weeks, we're going to for sure hit with these 5, maybe more, but this is it. So 600 to 800 micrograms, not milligrams. Don't go say Dani said and Dr. Motley said milligrams and end up with the selenium toxicity. Micrograms, 200. I mean, I use the pure one in the office now. I use a lot of pure, but I am actually transitioning out of pure. They still have great products, but they were bought by Nestle, you know?
I did too.
Yeah. So I'm in the process of transition. There are fine products. They're still good. They're working beautifully, but I don't trust Nestle. So therefore I will be changing slowly, but we're still fine. I mean, there's nothing, just like they bought Garden of Life, right? So I stopped using all Garden of Life in my office because of that a couple years ago. So this being said, it's a great price because you have 180 capsules in here for, $30, and it works great and they're still working good. But do you agree? I mean,
I have a scoop on that too. So this is selenomethionine, which is a very good form. That particular one, exactly. Yes, I actually talked to a naturopathic doctor who represents pure encapsulations.
Okay.
Actually, and as upset as she was initially, she actually we had a very, very good, very intelligent conversation. She says they have learned. They are leaving them alone. All the team, all the researchers, all the resourcing, everything is theirs. The facility is theirs. They are not messing up with formulations because they made these mistakes before. She says, I was relieved. I'm watching over it. There is because they also bought a couple of others.
Yes.
This is not the only one. And these are good brands.
I know,
some had been bought by some Canadian companies. This is really convoluted. So I have mixed feelings, but she's saying that they are not interested in changing anything. They're allowing them to do their research as they have and do their team. Everybody's the same location. They have their own facility and so on.
So that makes me happy then. So it's hard to find. Pure makes good products.
I am still using them too. Yes.
Nice.
Their prices are excellent. So, okay, that makes me happy. But again, don't buy your products on Amazon. And she's got a whole section, in the book. I was so proud to see that. But we'll talk about that later. We want to get through these top 5 first, and then we got to move on to stuff. But okay,
number one.
Okay, then what?
Okay, lysine.
Got it.
Lysine.
Herpes viruses hate lysine. They do.
They do, because it's an antiviral, correct?
Yes, it's anti-herpes. And just like Dr. Motley said, viruses, retroviruses, there is the concept of transactivation. When you have other pathogens, it goes both ways. EBV can reactivate those, or those can reactivate EBV. It could be other viruses, other herpes viruses. So you have a herpes outbreak, you can have EBV outbreak, but herpes hate lysine.
Yes. And how much? 500 to 1,000? That's what I usually recommend. But
these are dose dependent. That's why people don't get better fast, because they are dose dependent. So with lysine, there are contraindications, and I listed them in the book. If you have gallbladder problems, if you have high cholesterol, probably you don't want to drive it all the way up. But periodically, for a short period, you could drive it even up to 2,000 milligrams 3 times a day.
Okay, 2,000. You can go up.
Or do 1,000 milligrams 3 times a day. This is an amino acid, so you want to clear foods. You want to do it between foods. So just do it by itself. Let it get in and do its job.
Okay.
One of the underappreciated function, although people with EBV probably know it, so you won't be surprised, is the idea of lysine and arginine.
Oh.
So they compete, and the problem with this that people may not be aware of, that EBV is the only virus that does that. It can take arginine and citrullinate it. So it's changing your formation, just a little change in the formation, and suddenly you have citrullination of that amino acid. It's a different form. That amino acid can cause can cause autoimmune disorders. That's one of the pathways in which this happens.
Wow.
That was one of my mentors was talking to me about this about a year ago, and I didn't really go into it just like you did your explanation. He was telling me that arginine, he said, be mindful with arginine when you're dealing with Epstein-Barr. I didn't know that was the case, though.
So the problem is that people limit food groups because supposedly there's a lot of arginine. It's in many foods. It's supposedly nuts and this and that. Some of the highest amounts are in turkey, for example. But it does not necessarily mean that you need to limit food groups, okay? You just need that lysine to counteract it.
Okay.
And lysine is a stellar. So really just being aware of that and having dose high enough. And if you don't respond well to it, if you have that gallbladder or kidney problem or high cholesterol problem, just do even 500 3 times a day. That should not hurt anybody.
Right. I agree. I agree completely with you. Okay. So selenium and then lysine.
Mm-hmm.
What's the third one?
That's going to be licorice.
You bet. Now I use Licorice Plus from Metagenics. Now there's many different companies out there. So many different companies, but tell them the form of licorice you want and tell them why licorice.
You can try anything you can put your hands on. Even just licorice, pure licorice tea is helpful.
Yeah, absolutely.
Such a big worker. So licorice tea is available. You can get licorice in solid. You can get licorice in powder. You can get licorice in capsules.
Yep. But we only use it short term in the high doses, right?
Yes. So high doses, and that should be kind of customized. I don't really even know what I would recommend. Let's say 2-3 tall cups of tea earlier in the day, for example. Right. Now, the problem is I would do like 5 days on and 2 days off, maybe if people have concerns. And whatever dose you take, droppers, actually you can get droppers. These are good. Little droppers, tinctures.
Yes.
You get tinctures, get them in glycerin and not in alcohol, please, because the liver is already struggling.
Yes, absolutely. And also the contraindications for licorice, when we would not use licorice, right?
So if you are on medications for high blood pressure, you don't want to mess up with it.
Raise your blood.
But if people just have poor diet and you have too much sodium and you don't have enough calcium and magnesium and, too much table salt and too much eating out, that's table salt, that's food is oversalted. If you buy foods instead of cooking, then that can tip you over. So I would say improve your diet so you don't have that problem. You have a lot of magnesium, a lot of greens, but the problems to watch for is maybe heart palpitations or feeling more agitated or feeling really that you're out of sorts and you don't feel good with it. You're too wired. Then you just go down.
I use a lot of licorice in the office. If they have low cortisol, if they have high cortisol, absolutely not. But it will give you energy. It will help keep your cortisol around longer if you have very low cortisol. So I use a lot of licorice. I love it. But again, if there's high blood pressure or high cortisol, we don't use licorice.
That's a very good point. I forgot. High cortisol, you already wired. But for adrenal fatigue, when you're constantly fatigued, it will support them. And also, it's a wonderful tonic for any gastrointestinal problem. It supports the gut lining and healing of the gut lining, ulceration. So it's it's a huge heavy hitter, actually. So if you can kind of learn what you like, you don't want to drink that tea before bed, probably, because you're going to be overstimulated.
That's right. We're going to be out cleaning the house all night, and we don't want to do that. So,
and one thing you don't want to get is something called DGL licorice. A lot of people use it for the gut, but that doesn't have the active component. It has it removed. That's why it's deglycerated. You want the real thing. Yes.
Deglycerate. She just said.
So you do not want.
It's not going to have antiviral activity. No.
That's exactly right. So the one we have is glycerated. You do not want deglycerated. So that's right. So actually, Dr. Taroni Low Dog taught me that. Do you know Dr. Low Dog?
I've seen her. Yeah, I've seen her on videos.
Oh, she's amazing. She wrote all kinds of stuff. So anyway, she taught me that. Okay. So we've got 3. We have selenium, lysine, licorice. These are 3 heavy hitters. Mm-hmm. What's number 4?
NAC.
You bet. Woo-hoo! Right here. Wow. I love NAC. I use this. My patients know. If you guys use N-acetylcysteine, hit your heart buttons, because I'm a big believer in NAC. So tell us why it's so great with Epstein-Barr.
So, there's a connection between selenium and NAC that I love. That's why I love. So mostly, as you see, my heavy hitters, only one is herb. All of these are nutrient-based, high nutrients, because they do so many more jobs. So let's say oftentimes thyroid is affected. Hashimoto is driven oftentimes, not always, but often, by EBV infection too. And, selenium is very important for the thyroid function, but it's also very important to make this most important antioxidant that the body is supposed to make if you're healthy, called glutathione. You can't detoxify without it. So think about it. People who don't make glutathione may develop Parkinson's. You provide glutathione IV, Parkies, they start walking normally. That's how powerful glutathione is. Yes. And so liver is responsible for producing it, and you need building blocks. Guess what 2 building blocks are? Selenium and NAC.
You bet. They are the precursors and the building blocks to glutathione. So, and glutathione is the master antioxidant. It is the one antioxidant that
we don't know about
all the free radicals in the body, right? So I actually just had my glutathione checked 3 weeks ago, and it's very low.
Really?
Yeah, and I'm surprised. I've been using a glutathione cream. Well, I had just actually started it when I had my test done. So I'm getting ready to ramp up my N-acetylcysteine. I actually brought this from the office today, and I'm going to use it because I many times see people take 1,800 milligrams of NAC a day, and it bumps that glutathione level up beautifully. But for Epstein-Barr, how much would we use? What do you think?
So you can start with 18. So this can be taken together with lysine 3 times a day away from foods. Okay. So you can take, let me see. It's typically 6 or 500 milligrams. So you can do 1,200 milligrams 3 times a day.
Yeah, that's what it says here, 1,500. So I actually do 1,800 milligrams a day with my patients. So either way, it's fine. But you have in parentheses here up to 4,500 milligrams a day.
That's what I'm saying. So 12 is 36.
Yes.
So you're doing lysine NAC, lysine NAC, lysine NAC. This is where you can play with the doses of both of them up to a certain level. And if you are fine with the maximum doses for 2 weeks, run them and see how much repair you can do.
Absolutely.
So Doc, when you're going up, you tell your patients, do you tell your patients when they increase, if they're not having huge detox reactions, that you can go up a little bit more and more? Is that what you're
do not see detox reactions. I have to say, I do not see detox reaction, which is a blessing. I can't explain it, but there is so much support, maybe because of the liver support. There must be internal cleaning because we don't have die-off reactions. People just start feeling better.
Wow. When you do the lysine with the NAC together.
NAC, selenium, yeah.
All together with that. Oh, that's fantastic. Fantastic.
Yeah, but I know all my people. So when I create a protocol, I customize it because I've worked with them for probably a month already. I know and that's why in the book I really recommend that you take this book and you work with a clinical nutritionist or a nurse practitioner or functional clinicians, because you can open that book and say, yeah, I know what to do with it. Let's just drive it. But they know you. They know your story. They know that there's other parts of it, so you have to customize it and run maybe other ones higher, not these particular ones. It's just,
Gotcha.
there's a... Mm-hmm.
Okay, what's your fifth one?
I would say zinc.
Woohoo! Zinc right here, got it.
So
yeah,
I would do different types of zinc. So let's say if the involvement is right here, lymph and tonsils, throat, oral, maybe Sjogren's when you don't make saliva, it's just this involvement of the head, brain fog. If this is upper here, I would do lozenges. Yeah. I would find just lozenges with zinc. They're low potency, but you can pop them again and again, and they just get in. They're well studied, actually. And in supplement as well, isotonic, ionic, anything that is well absorbable. Capsules are fine too.
Do you have a certain brand of lozenges that you like?
Oh, goodness. What is the name of it? Zara? I think it's called Zana. It's in health food store. It's a little baggy with, sometimes with elderberry, brown rice sweetener. There's no really junk in it. There's a lot of herbs, and many herbs that are added are antiviral, which is wonderful. So I can, let's say if there's forest burning and you have a lot of dioxins from the burning forests, and that's good. The dioxins can reactivate the virus. A lot of people are getting reactivations right now. We've had these burning forests here. I can pop one lozenge at a time when we're going around, and that helps me. I have a little virus in my ear, so I can always monitor. It's very benign, actually. It's a different story, but I know that it's like on and off. Zinc is zinc is amazing.
Do you find when you say what's in your ear, because a lot of times when patients come into the office, they'll have indicators on their eyes and their ears and in their eustachian tube quite heavily for Epstein-Barr. And sometimes I'll find cytomegalo or even a Coxsackie-B, like a herpes virus, in there as well. And we'll give them lysine, and we'll give them sometimes like star anise or something like that, or a spice that works well with them. And literally you'll see, I've had patients come in and pimples and pus have actually come out of their skin on their neck around the eustachian tubes. But I'm saying it's alarming to me how, like, when you see somebody with a hearing aid and vision problems, and I suspect when I first see them, it's like they must have some form of Epstein-Barr, or, I mean, it's just me first, but as much times I've seen it in their eyes and in their ears, I'm like, I guarantee you that person's probably got some form of Epstein-Barr or something in their body.
That is amazing. I've seen quite a laundry list of inflammatory conditions related to the eyes, ocular. And then, of course, with the vestibular inner nerve in the ear, you can have cerebral ataxia, losing a little bit, not having the balance. That's another. There's also brain involvement.
Right.
So, I mean, these are the 5. There's tons of other ones.
There are tons of other ones.
Tons of stuff to do. Yes. Tons of ways to get better.
So this is everything that she mentioned in her book, and I had everything. I had everything in the office except for one thing: olive leaf extract. Everything. So you can't do that. You can't take 42 supplements. You have to pick and choose. But those are the top 5 heavy hitters, and then. But you have to work with a practitioner, right, who kind of knows you and knows your body. And, so we could add in some alpha lipoic acid, or we need to add in some curcumin, or, everybody needs a good probiotic, in my opinion. But, or we need to add in some vitamin E or vitamin A. I mean, it just goes. CoQ10. I mean, you could go on and on. But this is the whole protocol back here, and it's crazy. But you'll need to get her book in order to see this, because the book, of course, it's way more than just the protocol, but people want to get right to what do I need to take? Well, I'm going to tell you something. You can't supplement yourself to good health, period. These are supplements. They are not, losing everything. They are not substitutes. So talk to us about the importance of proper diet, good lifestyle modifications. What do you have to do? You take your vitamins, you take your supplements in the acute phase, and she tells you in the book. And,
it's extensive.
The book is very extensive, and you got to start from the beginning and read to the end, right? But you're going to have a huge bump up in your cells tonight on this book. I can tell you right now. But so there's a 2-week acute phase, and then we move into something else, right?
Well, you can do the 2 weeks acute, and if you are excelling in it, you can stay longer. There's no really manual for it. It's just give and take and learning. But this is acute, and this is getting you out of the danger zone. So if there's already one autoimmune you have, you're kind of preventing another autoimmune. You're preventing possibly cancer growth because it's oncogenic. So you want to arrest it, and so you want to be acute and you want to be aggressive with that to save your health. But the long term, you have to look at what got you there. Why is the immune system compromised and not signaling properly? Because that's what keeps, 95% of global population has the virus, and many of us do not get any problem. The problems always surface, like in any other species, when something attacks our immune system. And one of the biggest things that I've seen in clinic and in research is stress. Stress creates different chemicals. Stress is what the virus seems to be feeding on. Changes in hormones, avalanche of hormone, cortisol, adrenaline, that seems to be directly feeding the virus. There was a study on astronauts in space reactivating EBV, or athletes overworked and over exercising reactivating EBV, just because the body doesn't have the capacity to keep doing its job.
For sure.
You have crappy food. One crappy meal in a fast food joint can increase your NF-kappa B by 150% in like a matter of 1.5 hours. And NF-kappa B is an inflammatory marker that EBV hijacks. It literally jumps on it and drives itself on it. So the more you have, the worse it is. If you look at studies saying if you have low nutritional status, viruses are more virulent. If you have EBV, it's going to be much more aggressive. So nutritional status is instrumental. So if you look at the book, I'm going to walk you through the research. Why are you deficient? Where is the deficiency coming from? Why organic is not optional? How to decrease your insult? Looking at the air quality in research, looking at the water quality in research, look at the microwaving, look at the GMOs, just signaling things to you, and you would not dream that, if you eat green beans, it's just green beans. No, it's not. If you just inhale air, well, we've had this air for thousands of years. No, it's not. No longer.
If you put a tampon in, it's just a tampon, right? No, I am on a big cleaning up the vagina hit right now, because
I think I'm going to leave. Okay. I'll be right back. I'll see.
But see, I can work vagina into any conversation, and so
there's Dani for you.
Or if you use regular tampons for decade after decade, right? You're putting.
Dani, you will never see me use a single tampon in my life ever. Period.
Or pads. If you're using traditional pads, you're putting Roundup in your vagina decade after decade. It's all a piece of the toxic heavy load burden, right?
Toxins love the virus. Virus loves the toxins, whether it's heavy metals, dioxins, cigarette smoke, it just loves it. And so you can't heal. You have to clean up. You have to look at the electromagnetic field. You have to turn some things off. You just have to, just have to be aware and then get the best quality food.
Do you find, like, when you say that, like you and Dani have talked about, like, some patients would think that as we suggest, like, better food, better water, better air, less radiation, some people say, some patients have asked me, like, why does it get so picky? And do you guys think that it's really the distractions your body has. I'm saying your thyroid was meant to do a job, and that was to give energy to your cells, and all these things distract us, and we had to divert energy to them. And Epstein-Barr jumps on that distraction. It knows that we're distracted, basically, and it'll just, if your immune's low, it'll jump on that and just keep the system.
Very good point. Thyroid is a Velcro for toxins. Thyroid hates toxins.
Velcro for toxins.
Yeah.
I
mean, it will just, I don't go through X-ray machine at the airport. I take spirulina before the flight, and I get a pat down, and I teach all my patients, do a pat down. Do not get a extra radiation when you're going to be radiating in the air already, because you're going to be high in the sky. All these things, we're insulted. We are not equipped. Look, listen, I was reading last night about orca whales, because it really concerns me. When there are, and it's the same with us, when there are ships too close to them, in order for them to communicate with each other, they have to scream over the communication that is signaled, passively from the waves, the radio waves from the ships, from the vessels. And it takes, like you said, so much more energy for them to even communicate with each other. They get sick. They have dioxins, DDT in the blubber. They're dying because of the pollution. They are the macrocosm of what's happening in the human body. Sure. And unfortunately, we're stewing in chemicals. And I've been saying this for years. When you start cleaning up, magic happens. You are enabling your cells to actually start breathing. You bet.
Wow.
I mean, I tell patients,
it's kind of urgent where we are. It really is. Yeah.
Not up for it's not. I mean, it's not up for debate. You have to eat well. You have to sleep well. You have to move well. You have to poop well, right? You have to decrease stress, and you have to have community. Period. Your bedroom has got to be a sanctuary, right? You've got to have the EMFs out of there. You've got to have all this. So, I mean, you're preaching to the choir here. These people know, my tribe knows, Dr. Motley's tribe knows. Those are the 6 things that are, I mean, we have to do.
Non-negotiable, yeah.
It's a huge piece of the Epstein-Barr puzzle, right? But
the only thing I will say is the movement. You have to be very careful. If you are in a flare-up, you cannot move because you don't have reserves and recovery. You will be in so much more pain and fatigue after the exercise. You don't do that.
You bet. I tell people, if you feel worse after you exercise, you have got to bring it down to something like yoga, deep breathing, Pilates, something that's not going to tax the adrenal glands, right?
Yeah, I would not even go that far with if you have a real flare up and you have labs to prove it, and it is chronic EBV that is reactivated, you try not to move. This is not a good time to move. It's going to make it so much worse. Just rest.
So the first 2 weeks we hit those heavy hitters, and then maybe some other things depending on what your provider does. Should they start feeling better within the first 2 weeks or no?
Yes. If they don't, this is when they have to work with somebody because there's something else, maybe other infections. If it's other infections, I didn't have enough space to actually talk about it in the book, but there are very simple herbs when you can just test drive it too, like olive leaf that attacks gram-negative, gram-positive bacteria, viruses, Epstein-Barr, yeast, fungus, very, very well studied. And so sometimes just adding this shifts things because you have co-infections, and you can go and do expensive labs and this and that, but it's such a good herb. So that might be something to add as well if things are not shifting.
Okay.
Also, one reservation, if a person that is not as rare as we think, hemochromatosis, if you have hemochromatosis, you can't use lysine. That's going to make things worse. Vitamin C is on the protocol. Don't do vitamin C because both of them will increase your iron absorption, and that's going to backfire.
That's a good thought.
And I think licorice as well. NAC is fine, and turmeric is fine. So you can still, zinc is fine. You can still work around, but just as you can see, EBV is pretty simple. It's the other things that that can be problematic.
Do you find that sometimes, like when like working with Epstein-Barr, or sometimes with like chronic like flu, or sometimes even with Lyme infection, I'll find that vitamin C will work really well for them for just a bit, and all of a sudden they switch and they can do vitamin C, and their iron will drop. And that's a good point. I didn't think about that. That's really great.
Isn't that something?
And I'm telling you, that book, guys.
I'm going to tell you. Okay, so
she goes over brain waves.
Yeah, I mean, you cannot get across in 45 minutes. We've actually been 51 minutes. You cannot get across how brilliant she is and what she is doing for the chronic disease world. I'm telling you, Kasia, I mean, I've done this for 8 years with my patients as a nurse practitioner, and I would give anything if I'd have had this book the past 8 years.
Thank you.
And I am honored, and I am thrilled to have got to know you, because I can't wait to work with you going forward. But I'm telling you, tribe and community and all that, this book right here, you need to order. I'm going to put the link up for her for Amazon for Dr. Kines for you to order this, because it is hands down the most comprehensive book I've ever seen. I mean, this goes over everything. Do not take a shortcut. Don't go straight to the supplements, because I'm telling you, you know this. You cannot supplement yourself to good health. No. You've got to start with all this. Yeah. She talks about the research, the testing, everything that's involved, all the things here. And I mean, you've done an unbelievable job. There's not another book like this out there.
And you can tell that when you wrote it, Doc, that guys, when people have had long experience in their lives with the health community, you can tell when people write just because they try to find it, but you can tell when people write it out of the knowledge of their heart, like people have said, I've experienced it with my patients. And you can tell that she's wrote it from experience. It's like, it's not hard for her just to put it down on paper. It's probably too much info in her head that she has to put down on paper.
But you can have a volume too, I'm sure.
Yeah, but you know,
she
put in there, she's like, well, I got, about, 500, 600 pages.
Yeah, there's about 600 pages here. So you've got some reading to do, but I'm going to tell you.
Can you stop me already? I'm flashing and flashing and flashing.
For the provider and for the lay person. And I'm telling you, Dr. Kines, you have absolutely broken this down. And I'm thrilled to death. And I can't imagine the work. I'm just trying to write a book. Crap, just a little book, nothing like this. People, when my book comes out, it's going to be like 100 pages. It's going to be nothing like this. But
mine will be 3.
Yeah.
And I have coloring sticks.
So here's what we're going to do. What I want you to do, Dr. Kines, is I want you to copy and paste the link to Amazon on here. Okay? Just when we log off, I want you to copy and paste on the comment.
Underneath? Okay.
Yes, underneath. So she will have her direct link there, so you all can order it straight from her. Okay? Because she, just straight from her. And then we will answer, because there's a lot of questions here. There's 44 comments and stuff. So we will answer your questions after we log off. Okay. And because I see a lot of questions and we can't do that. And we're already going almost an hour here. So
wait, so how do we answer their questions? Just in afterwards in email, in Facebook typing?
Yes, that's what you will do. So it'll be on the Dani Williamson Wellness, and you can just answer questions. So look for her comments and her questions.
Oh boy.
The website, you can do this. Okay.
She's giving me homework already.
This is great. So guys, if you love her and if you want to see her back again, hit your heart button, show her some love. I mean, I am so honored to have her, and she's out in Seattle, and she's worked so hard, and she's in clinical she's in private practice virtually. I've got a patient who actually sees her, and I'm thrilled to death.
We didn't know it. Yes.
And I think she's watching tonight. Actually, she may be online tonight. So
she's on vacation.
I love it that she has everything. I mean, guys, she has everything about methylation and Epstein-Barr and how it affects methylation. And there's so much summary, and in the sense that she has the research behind it, so you can actually go back and find the research behind it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, this is a book you can take to your doctor or your healthcare provider and say, look, there's evidence based here, because I run into every day where providers say, oh, there's no evidence in that. There's no, double-blinded study in that. Well, she's got it all in the back of this book.
But I can tell by the way she wrote it, though, it's like whether somebody, quote, supported it, I can tell like your experience has fortified what you've wrote. I can tell. It's like.
I guess so.
Yeah.
Before we go, I want to also reach out and give a shout to everyone. If you guys buy the book, I have thank you gifts on EBV Help website. If you click on book, and then there's gifts, thank you gifts for book buyers. You just have to give me the receipt so I know you got it. That will get you into my newsletter as well. I have a short video in an health food store aisle talking about gluten-free and looking at labels and actually understanding what's worth and not. And then I have an EBV ebook that actually is very practical. So I wrote it in the view of people that are very sick, have no energy, have brain fog. What can I give you that you can instantly change today without too much thought? Something that is very common. And this is a microwaving. How I can turn around, heat the food, make the food without microwaving, without spending more time. I've been teaching it for a long time. There's some research on microwaving in it. What it has to do with your EBV. Please don't microwave. It's a wonderful ebook with lots of images and lots of little studies, and then lots of practical tools, very, very practical. I think everybody will love it. So these are my gifts to all the readers are actually go on Amazon and buy. So please get those gifts. It's my thank you.
I want those gifts. I bought the book. I have the book. I've got to go online.
Go get it.
Just relax, all right?
I want the gifts too because I want to know. So okay, so we'll post the link. I've got Nanette. Nanette said, I already bought the book. I have it in hand. Yes.
Oh, right. Wonderful. Thank you.
Girl. So Judith, the name of the book is The Epstein-Barr Virus Solution. So wait to buy the book until we post the link up there so you can click on it, get it, and then get your free gifts as well.
Oh, wow.
Dr. Kines, thank you. Do you have anything else to say before we end up here? We got 2 minutes here.
Yes. Okay, so my job is only beginning. We will be working on a very, inexpensive online program that just guides you by, week 1, do this, week 1, 2, do this. So it's not overwhelming, just like a EBV solution program, a little online program. And also for clinicians, there's also a waiting list where you can just click on the same website. There's a clinician page. We will be relaunching clinician online training program. We did it in November. It was amazing. So I'm going to be creating a waiting list, and I will personally respond to any clinicians who is on this list as soon as I'm ready to relaunch it. I just need 48 hours in a day. So I'm working on it.
I know. Okay.
How about 72?
Okay. Yeah. So clinician, you're going to have a clinician training.
Yeah. Yeah, so we really want everyone to be covered, everyone to learn, everyone to know what to do. So there's no more years spent spending and being miserable and anxious and fearing for life. Mm-hmm. No more.
People's lives.
I hope so.
You are changing. So here's what you're doing, Dr. Kines.
Yes.
You are changing the trajectory of a family's life, right? Because many times it's women who are sick.
Yep.
Men are sick as well, but many times it's women. And when you change the mother, when you help the mother to heal, you heal the entire family, right? So when you heal the mom, the children heal, the husband heals, the family, the friends, the people in the workplace, their community, they heal as well. It's little trickles because that mama is the head of the ship. Now, she may not be making the money. The mom may be staying at home. The dad may be making the money, but the mama is the head of the house. I'm just telling you. And when mama's sick,
I know.
the entire family is sick. When mama can't get off the couch, and when she goes to bed, when she takes the kids to school, can barely get the kids to school in her pajamas, and she comes home and she goes back to bed, or she puts the child to bed and goes to bed. I mean, your mama is sick. And when you can get her off of the couch, out of the bed, out of the house, back out into the community, I'm telling you, Dr. Kines, you are changing families and you are changing the whole trajectory of the next generation. And because when mama feels better, she can give those kids fresh cooked food and organic food. So it's not just about mom, it's about the whole family. And I don't know if you realize this. I mean, you are changing lives. You're changing families. And I appreciate you. And I appreciate everything. What does that say?
This is a BV Hero manifesto. It's in the book. It's on the EBV website. Everybody can read it and print it and show it to your mom. If you are the mom, show it to your kids, because there's nothing worse for me to hear than a young mom crying that I can't be there for my kids. I feel awful. I feel guilty. This is not me. And there's nowhere to go. And the kids are struggling. So we are creating a new culture. You can claim that manifesto. We're going to be driving a culture. I haven't even started, but it's in the book. It's on the website. It's printable. We framed it here to remind us it's for clinicians. You're my EBV heroes. You are my EBV heroes.
Yes.
Because it says we are the clinicians who refuse to settle and want the answers for those suffering from EBV right now.
That's exactly right. So it's in the book. So you're changing people's worlds. You're changing their families. And I appreciate you. And I am so honored to have met you. And I can't wait to see what happens, the next 5 years. And I'm thrilled to death. So we will put the links up here. Guys, I'm sorry we ran over, but we could actually talk until 10 o'clock tonight.
Probably for another year.
I know, on this, because there's so many different things to talk about. But, she does have her 5 heavy hitters: selenium, lysine, zinc, N-acetylcysteine, and licorice. Those are the 5. And I will share those and I'll put a picture up there. Dr. Motley has them in his office. She has them. I have them. She talks about buying things from your providers, because we know for a fact they don't come off of Amazon or big box, right? Mm-hmm. They're not sitting on a dock getting hot. So we've talked about this and we don't have to talk about that. But I appreciate you, Dr. Kines. Thank you. And guys, if you have any questions whatsoever, thank you, Christy Reeder, for posting the EBVhelp.com heroes up there. So somebody's already posted the link.
Oh my gosh, that's wonderful.
Dr. Kines, I have, and Dr. Motley has, the greatest tribe of people who are in our community, and they love us and we love them. But if we love you, then they love you. Yes. So we're going to support.
I am really loved. Yes. Thank you, Sandy. Thank you. Thank you.
Right,
thank you. Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Wonderful week. And we will see you next Sunday night. Oh, actually, wait. Next Sunday night is that? No, we won't, because that's Labor Day. So we'll be off for Labor Day, but we'll be back in 2 weeks.
We'll be back in 2 weeks.
All right. All right, guys. We love you. Have a great week. Don't log off, Dr. Kines. We're gonna end this, and then all right, guys. We love you.
We'll see
you in 2 weeks.
It was so good, Doc.